It was the saddest thing ever, because imagine being in your genre, in your sub-niche, whatever it is. Imagine being in your lane. Imagine being one of the very top of your lane, that to the point where if they don't take you for the role, there's not 3 black actresses that they can say are bigger than you that we're going to give this to. Imagine you being at that point and have to humble yourself and say, they're not paying me, y'all. And they not making my pay go up because I'm doing better or nothing. It don't matter to them that I'm famous and people know me or nothing. They want to pay me exactly what they paying the new girl. And I've been suffering under it for a decade now and just taking it. I just been getting whooped. But I just got to come say, this is wrong. We should be ashamed. But this is a country where we don't pay the teachers, and then we say the kids is the most important thing. You can't have both of them. If you do that, we're going to end up with a generation that can't read. Guess what? Generation Z and A can't read. Why? Because who was giving them a book? We got an iPad or a phone, and now the letters don't mean there's no cursive writing.
Right.
Sorry about that. So yeah, this is what period of time it's in. It's the period where the victims get to say, they've been hurting me for a long time. And I just ain't said nothing because I was trying to be strong and I didn't want to shame anybody. When our people call out for help, we got to understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we put too much pressure on Tyler Perry. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He ain't put nobody on. The people that been in his productions, they not famous. All of them can walk through the mall without security. Be what you gonna be, but put your people on. If you a gay person and you in there, put some other gay people on. Put somebody on. Or don't be wondering why people keep saying gatekeepers.
Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with a quick video to unpack this Katt Williams interview. You know I love a countdown, so we're going to go down through the top 5 things that I think endure and really shine in the interview. So first of all, the idea that Katt Williams brought forth was that this is the age of truth, and he was establishing Club Shay Shay as a space for truth telling. And I think this is really important, especially in this last era that we've had, of like alternative facts and people just misleading others. It's very important, to one, distinguish the difference between, the truth and falsehoods. And a lot of times artists can even use things that are not necessarily facts to tell the truth. So if someone like Katt Williams, uses jokes and hyperbole, sometimes you have the critics kind of nitpicking what he says and say, oh, Dave Chappelle actually wore a dress. I saw, pictures on Twitter, and videos of people calling out times where maybe in a skit, or I think in Robin Hood, Dave Chappelle had on a dress or something. But the current events and like the reality of Dave Chappelle's career is that he definitely did not sell out. He literally, turned down millions of dollars for the Chappelle show at its peak. He went to Africa apparently and hid from the industry, So when Katt Williams says that, Dave Chappelle's unbought, it's not something to just dismiss just because you found a clip of Dave Chappelle doing a skit in a dress. Like the bigger truth is that Dave Chappelle does represent one of those comedians who walked away from the chance to, like he said, betray his people. And he said that basically Key and Peele ended up doing a lot of like more offensive skits about race and things like that afterwards and took his Chappelle show slot because he was unwilling, to be a puppet of whatever forces that may be that do tend to put negative images of, people of color out there. So again, the debates that people are having for the most part actually have confirmed that a lot of what Katt Williams says is true, especially with the joke stealings. There's tons of clips showing, which comedians he called out that said jokes, and a lot of the hit dogs hollered online and, responded back themselves and embarrassed themselves. For example, like Mike S was trying to say that Katt Williams' Fendi was fake, and then the Fendi website, shows that his coat was real. So again, I don't want people to get bogged down by nitpicking details when an artist, especially a comedian, is trying to tell a larger truth. Obviously, when we go to the news, we do want facts and things like that. But when you're dealing with someone who is an entertainer, a comedian, a griot, which we'll discuss later, it's very important to understand that the truth can be told even when facts, can be like exaggerated, but we do have to commend someone who, again, is trying to tell the truth in their own way in an age where a lot of people, are being misled, right? So the next point that I really liked is his overt spirituality. There's so many times where, Katt Williams talks about God. The moment that melted my heart for me is when he said he desired to be God's friend from when he was little. That's so very much in line with kind of my worldview. And one famous line that circulated on Twitter was he saying, it's not about black and white per se, because for a while, a lot of people are like, well, I'm rooting for everybody black. And even if that black person was problematic, like, for example, there still are Kelly fans, who's like, why do they want to get a black man down when, Harvey Weinstein did this, he got that punishment, but why are Kelly getting a harder punishment? But it's like, both of them did problematic things, so sometimes it's not even about, getting into the identity politics of it all, but like protecting each other and protecting what's righteous for, all. And Katt Williams, definitely brought up the idea, we got to stop getting caught up in things like identity politics when really a politic of justice and a politic of recognizing what's best for the human family. And sometimes getting rid of your problematic faves, is important. And this kind of thing has been more and more mainstream with the Me Too movement. And even now, some people say Me Too is kind of hitting hip hop and kind of hitting the church, because we have all the allegations against Diddy and now allegations against TD Jakes. So what would it look like if we stop hiding our problematic faves just because they're black or just because they're whatever thing that we want to, ascribe to, whatever group we want to ascribe to, and just say, actually, I'm for the human family. I'm for what, is actually right and just. The next thing I really, really liked was the comments on Money Mike, where he talked about how he refused to do a rape scene. And he explained to the producers, rape is never funny. And this is, again, going with the point that there are a lot of producers and people in the industry that want to promote negative message and desensitize us to things that are wrong, like the violence and the horror of rape, making fun of it so that people kind of take it less seriously. There are definite conspiracy theories that are like very far out there, but you cannot deny that there have been different things that are popular that desensitize us to wrong and violence. And I like how Katt, was standing up for little moments where he could fight against that desensitization and say, you know what, we're not making rape jokes here. Like, I'm going to make a funny scene without Money Mike being raped. And it was funny. And shout out to him for upholding a standard, So the second takeaway, again, was this idea of, speaking truth to power. And he said that basically this is going to be a new era in 2024. And he did this Larry King interview where Larry King had asked him, what's his superpower? He said clairvoyance. And that he sees the future and he kind of speaks into the future. And I think he definitely did that, and in a lot of ways, just like this griot article by Reverend Dr. Alicia Lola Jones, shout out to her. She was a classmate of mine. Katt Williams definitely spoke those things that be not as they were. He told Shannon Sharp that his interview would be viral, and it was. And again, just like a griot, I'm gonna quote the article. It says, just like a griot, Katt Williams wielded the oral tradition of the dozens, a long-standing tradition we now commonly call reading, thanks in part to our LGBTQ plus folk observing the landscape, storytelling, citing existing work, and exchanging critiques with sparring partners. Under the guise of comedy, the griot is expected to protect and carry the culture with attunement to time, wit, wordsmithing, and humor. Said to comprise over 20 attributes, the griot is a composite of the comedian, the historian, the rapper, the commentator, the warrior, the praise singer who reminds you of battles won and lost, the preacher, and more. He's your on demand truth teller, given to hyperbole, colorful speech, and flair. A true griot reminds us of who we are. Armed with the tradition of creating an experience, Katt Williams gave us a secular illustrated sermon of what it looks like to be a free Negro, presumably unbought by the entertainment industry and existing for the culture. And again, I'm gonna put the link to this article, but it's really good. And again, it stresses the point that Katt Williams, he's using word of faith in a good way. He's using the power of his comedy and his story to speak those things that be not as they were. And again, he spoke life into Shannon Sharp's, you know, Club Shay Shay, and said, this is gonna be your biggest interview. And right now, over 30 million views. It's like the third most watched interview online of all time. Again, that's the power, the faith of your words when you believe in them. And last but not least, the major number one takeaway that I got from him was about, tithing. He talks about, the universe's bank and sowing good seeds into people. And there's so many testimonies of Katt Williams just randomly giving money to people. And I think it's so interesting. Like, a lot of people are in organized religion and they give their money to the church. But what would it look like if more people also gave in the way that Katt did? He says whenever he has a show, he makes sure he gives to people in the community. He provides jobs to people in the community. He makes life more bearable to people who are struggling. Like Boosie said, he gave him $15,000 at one point when he was struggling. Dion Cole said the same thing. So many people are coming out with these testimonies of Katt Williams, not just saying good job, but like showing up and sowing a seed into someone that you think is doing good. And Caribbeans, I know my family, we do it kind of formally and informally. There's some called box hand or susu, where like you take a group of people who are doing well and believe in each other, and we literally give money to each other kind of like on a monthly basis. So let's say like I'm in a group of 4 people, and every month one person gets all of the money in the pot. Like, let's say everybody gives $100 a month. So like every couple months we're sewing into each other like lump sums, so like $400, so you give a little bit. And like a lot of people have bought houses and stuff off of box hand, like that's microloans, community giving to each other, supporting each other. And like that's the stuff I think Katt Williams was actively doing. So I think we have to think a different way about our tithe if you're a spiritual person, or just investing in each other. And Katt Williams is a great example of that. So again, what did you think about the video? What were your takeaways? Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and remember, you are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Bye.